You can have this feeling anytime you choose.
Yes, everybody, welcome back to UziMumbai, the hub of everything Mumbai City FC, where today we are back with another transfer roundup. And since the last transfer roundup, we've had quite a few. We've had quite a few interesting ones and quite a few which seem a bit out there, and we'll just see how they develop further. So, yeah, Shlok, first player. Yeah.
Right. So when we're talking about Miku, he is a huge name in Indian football. Almost everybody knows him. In
Yeah.
case you don't know who Miku is, he has been one of the greatest strikers in Bengaluru Football Club's history, having 29 goal involvements in 39 games for them. And that is a brilliant record for an attacking player. Now, the last year, he left for the Cypriot division, wherein he only got 9 games. And even in those games, he didn't get many minutes. And as a result, he wasn't able to contribute in terms of goals or assists. And that has led to a sort of devaluation from the fans, and the fact that he's 34 as well doesn't help. In my opinion, he is a classy player. He knows how to make his own chances. He has the strength to hold off defenders. He has the dribbling ability to get past them.
Yeah.
He, unlike Koro, is a player who can drop deep and support these non-rushing players by just giving these through balls. You had Chetri, you had Utanta running behind him, and he's just laying off headers or these very delicate balls for them to go on a one-on-one with the keeper, which is a great ability in a player, because you're having a striker who can not only score goals but also create goals for his team, and it allows for a lot of fluidity in your front three. And it's going to be very interesting to see how Lobera can use Miku when he has been employing a system where his main striker is very different as compared to a player like Miku. We had Koro who would sit in the box, absolutely fantastic at his job, not taking anything away from him. But he wasn't as much of a creator as Miku was. So it really begs the question, Samar, do you think Miku will be an option for depth at Mumbai, or do you think he will be the main man up front?
I think he'd be a good player, a good backup though. I can't see him being a first choice. I would definitely not want him to be a first choice, but I don't think he'd want to be a backup in any of these clubs either. So I think, yes, it does beg the question, how good would he be now? But I guess we'll just have to wait and see how this develops. It's a big name though, so
yeah,
we'll see how that fares out. So the second player we're going to be looking at, and this is a very interesting one, is Vikram Pratap Singh. Now, Marcus Magalu, if I'm butchering that, I'm sorry. He first reported this news quite, shockingly enough, because I am a massive fan of Vikram Pratap Singh, and apparently Mumbai had signed him for a reported fee of 50 lakhs. Now, putting that in perspective, I think Sheikh Runyan was signed by BFC for, I think, 75 lakhs.
Gandhi money, man.
Gandhi money. And it's really interesting to see, because 50 lakhs is quite a lot of money, especially for a 19-year-old. I think he's 19 if I'm not wrong. Right now, if you look at if you looked at how he's playing in the Indian Arrows, he's been quite good. He start of the season he had the highest XA for the whole team. So they expected him to be the most creative player out of the whole team. He did not live up to that reputation, considering he had 0 assists. But he did score. He did score a few goals, right? And 4 goals. Some of them against big teams like East Bengal as well. He's shown that leadership, and he's shown that character that is required to succeed in football, especially in India. You need the character to go further. But is he good enough to be a first team player? Shlok, what do you think?
I think he has a lot left to learn at this point, because so we see these inherent traits in him. He has that instinct on when to run behind the line and get onto that through ball. The thing is, he's lacking in some departments like finishing. We've seen him miss quite a few one-on-ones. Not that it's a huge problem for someone his age. That can definitely improve. And it's very promising that he gets himself in these situations as well. But I don't think he can really replace a big player at Mumbai City FC yet, especially in a position where we generally use foreigners, you know.
Yeah. Interesting point though, that if he is getting in those positions to miss those one-on-one, it proves that he is at least getting in those positions to miss those one-on-ones. And that's something that's really interesting about him and to be to look out for in the future. His off-the-ball movement, his decision-making, and his intelligent football play. Right? So, third player, Shlok.
Clickbait time, Chanso
Clickbait
Horam. Now, this guy, just like Vikram, very, very young player. But unlike Vikram, he's been a bit of a discovery here. We had Vikram Pratap Singh on every newspaper's headlines, going, the next big thing, maybe India's solution to the striker problem, whatnot. Chanso Horam, he's been a diamond in the rough, because personally I hadn't heard of him before it was reported. And this guy came up from the Manipuri League, and then he was scouted by Neroka. And last season, even though he didn't get many minutes at Neroka, I did manage to see some of his plays and they look good. He does pretty well in tight spaces, like he knows when to lay off that first pass or just get out of there very quickly. And he is a very agile player, is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
The only thing is, he needs to work a bit on his physicality because he's a very short player and he's very slender, so he can be bullied off the ball very easily by a big, strong defender. But I think that if we get to see a bit more of him and he can refine his play a bit more, maybe improve his runs, because we see him going wide very often.
Yeah.
It's not a very productive zone as compared to a half space or obviously our golden zone. So maybe if he improves that, I think he can be way better.
Yeah, thank God he's not playing against Fall.
Oh man. Samar, what do you think about these young players? What do you think their position would be at Mumbai? Do you think they should be loaned out or the reserve team, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think Mumbai, I think the scouting team in Mumbai is very underrated. I think they've unearthed some really, really good players, in the past. But I think the process of getting them to Mumbai has been really efficient and has been really good. But I think the process of, completely developing them over the past 2 years, it hasn't been as effective as I think most people would have liked it to be. I think Valpuya was a necessary backup, but I think guys like Valpuya should have been loaned out, and I think that has to be the case for people like Chanso Horam and Vikram Pratap Singh as well. If you can't be guaranteed at least 300-400 minutes in the season, I think they should be loaned out for their own development.
Yeah. And I think, the reserve team, I-League second division doesn't really give many minutes to players. I think only play 6 to 8 matches or something.
Yeah.
So I think if you loan him back to Neroka or, Vikram Pratap back to Arrows, as we did with Anwar Ali, I think we could really be getting somewhere here.
Yeah, I think if Lubera doesn't see them in the immediate plans, I think that is the most sensible move and obviously the best for their development as well. So I guess we move on to the next and the last player for this video. That's Hore Oritz. Now this name started making a lot of rounds a couple of weeks ago when I think the news was first reported. I can't remember by who, but then Marcus as reported as well that Mumbai is in contact with the top Spanish player in the Spanish league, etc., and this name popped up, and this was an interesting one because it looked more credible than the others. So what do we know about him? Well, he's 28 years old. He plays for Atletico Baleares. If I'm fucking that up, I'm sorry about that. Third division player. He used to play in the Atletico Madrid reserves as well. What we do know about him, that he's been one of the best players for them. 8 goals and 3 assists in 20 games. But most importantly, he fits the Lobera profile of that inside forward, left winger inside forward. The right-footed player who likes to cut in and score. You see that happen with Brandon, how he was converted into that role. So what I feel is that going into the transfer market, Lubera would have had a list, right? A first choice, a second choice, a third choice, a fourth choice. And I think Orits was on top of that when he joined Goa, and Orits still on top of that now that he's in Mumbai. And I think because financially they could not afford him back in Goa, they went down the pecking order and got Brandon. But I think now he has the finances to back him up and get his first choices, and I think this is his first choice. And I think it could be a fabulous signing because he is fantastic.
Yeah, I think his record this season also speaks for him. You know, his club finished top of their group, but promotion playoffs didn't take place. So we could be looking at a potentially Spanish second division player here.
Yeah.
And as per you know the thing you talked about, the shortlist and whether he was scouted, I think that's a very high possibility because this name had come up in the last transfer window as well. Surprisingly for some I-League clubs as well. So I think he was in the pipeline when it came to scouting. Yeah.
And I think he'd make for a fabulous player. We haven't seen this quality in a long time in Mumbai, and I think this would be a fabulous signing. And if this does happen, people, we are definitely winning the title. Take my word for it. I am getting his jersey, definitely. Well, I think that's it for the video. So what do you guys think about the transfers? Do you think the mixture of youth and the experience should be played together, or do you think the youth should be given the more affordable time back in I-League? So make sure to put your comments down below, like, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.